We better do the North Melbourne direction first because there's a lot of angst going on.
Is there what? And a lot of coaches who entered the room last night for the Brownlow were angry, to be honest, because this special assistance package landed like a bomb across the competition. A lot of rival coaches furious, and their CEOs and presidents looking for answers that either didn't come or they weren't satisfied with. So the Kangas asked for more, and they wanted more for finishing bottom two in each of the past 4 seasons. We know the package, though. End of first round pick this year, 2 subject to review end of first round picks next year, and the 2 rookie spots next year as well. So what they do with it all is going to be really interesting from here. 2, 3, 16 and 19. Do they take them all to the draft? Unlikely. Gold Coast pick 4. We know they've been quiet about that. West Coast pick 1. We know that he's up for grabs, and there's a length as long as the Flemington Strait looking for that one that includes Melbourne. Do they trade up for Riley Sanders, the Tasmanian kid who they got access to their NGA that they've long wanted? Do they trade up for him? So all these things up for grabs, and we know they're going to lose Ben Mackay to Essendon. And speaking to Alistair Clarkson last night, Gerard, outside the Crown Palladium, there's no way they're letting him go without getting guarantee that it's top-tier compensation. So in that case, it would be pick 3. Otherwise, I take it that North Melbourne will match and make it really difficult. So at this stage, North 2, 3, 16 and 19, Ben Mackay gets to Essendon, but only if they get that top-tier compensation. And just staying with North, they're in the mix for that fringe Bulldog, Buku Khamis. We know that as well. And just another Western Bulldog, Hayden Crozier, who's, I guess, fallen out of favour at the Whitten Oval in more recent times, Gerard, after crossing from Fremantle. Some interest from Carlton here. That might yet be as a delisted free agent. I mean, it's hard to know what is going to happen there with Hayden Crozier, who's out of contract at the end of the year. But wouldn't be surprised if Carlton pursue him a little bit further come the coming weeks and months.
Okay. Elijah Holland's name's been mentioned a few times. There's a text today, Elijah Hollands to the Saints. There's been a lot of Elijah Hollands to the Blues, which I think we might have referenced previously.
Yeah.
Now that his successful campaign with the Suns in the VFL is done, what happens here?
No, highly likely to leave. I think it is going to be Carlton. So the Blues might have Honey, Plowman, Dow, certainly Ed Curnow leaving, of course, and I've left a couple off there. Elijah Hollands, there's an expectation they can nab him with a future pick to satisfy Gold Coast. He was picked 7, of course, in the 2020 draft. He's played only the 13 games in that time. So for the right deal, my understanding is Gold Coast would allow him to leave. Carlton obviously has the family link there, but it goes beyond that. They've got a real interest in the player. He missed his draft year with that ACL, of course. He was touted, I think, as a potential number 1 pick before that. So largely untapped, unfulfilled talent. I think Carlton, we'd have them in the box seat anyway, without guarantees, Gerard, that he would land there to unite with his brother Ollie.
Mabior Chol is a man with a Q.
Oh, man in demand, isn't he? So Brisbane, Adelaide, Hawthorn, we know that. North Melbourne been mentioned. They have been sniffing, said to at least, according to the people I've been told, not be on the same level of interest as those former 3 clubs, the Lions, the Crows and the Hawks. Does have 2 years to run on a contract, so would stay, but he and the club feel he just won't be playing. I think initially he wanted to stay, Gerard, but then clubs reach out, that they sense an opportunity, and then it perhaps becomes clear from the players' point of view that, the Gold Coast have got some serious academy talent coming in, and maybe he starts to think, well, why would I stay? And at his age, at 26, obviously he needs to play. This is his time. He's put himself on show in recent weeks as well. Pretty encouraging VFL campaign to finish. So a lot of interest from him. We await a decision from that player, but certainly a man in demand, Mabior Chol, who has the talent, just for whatever reason, just hasn't been able to string it together consistently over the course of his career thus far.
Brett is putting through strong word is that Mabior Chol will go to. North Melbourne is where he's placing him. The race for the Suns pick 4? Yeah,
look, this is hot at the moment. I mentioned the Western Bulldogs, who have long been seen as the front runner. Now, North Melbourne had told Gold Coast, just wait. We're waiting on our special assistance package. We might be at the table here. So whether they have enough to compete with the Western Bulldogs, on the surface they do. What they're willing to give up to get it in is another question altogether. We know it's up for grabs for obvious reasons to the highest bidder. It will be changing hands. Whether North Melbourne can compete with the Western Bulldogs remains to be seen, or whether North pivot and, as I said earlier, go for Melbourne's pick 1. They're certainly not going to take all 4 picks to the draft. You wouldn't have thought, North Melbourne. So a one to watch going forward, that's for sure. And what about the Shield and Gresham links, Gerard? That one was one for the unique file.
Yeah, so break that down for us.
Well, we did some digging around a bit on this. So the theory is, as reported in the Herald Sun yesterday, is that Essendon have an abundance of midfielders. And Dylan Shield turns 31 in March, Gerard. He's coming off a 12-game season and coming into the last year of his contract on a decent wage. Now, this was his big 6-year deal that he signed crossing from the Giants, of course, when Carlton came hard for him as well. So St Kilda aren't interested in keeping Jade Gresham, despite what they say publicly. And he's also well paid, and they need more midfield support. So Gresham would leave as a free agent, and because Essendon pay him enough, it gives St Kilda either a first-round or end-of-first-round compensation pick. So it would be 13, given their first pick is 12, or at the end of the first round, of course. Then in the trade period, sometime later, Gerard, St Kilda send a pick back to Essendon for Shield. Now, the theory goes it could be that same pick that they use in the Gresham deal. Now, the list managers I've spoken to said they would be floored if the Saints gave up a first-rounder for Shield. Now, they've got 31, though, so it would appear more likely that the Saints would give up 31, you would have thought, or that second-round pick for Shield, and Essendon allow it, given the Saints will be taking on Dylan Shield's wage at the same time. So essentially it's a pick buy. I mean, St Kilda are essentially buying a pick here, a first-round pick. They've got 12, they might get 13 with it, or as I say, 19 or an end of first-round pick to go with it. So essentially they're buying a pick here, Gerard. So some clever manoeuvring by a couple of the elder statesmen come this time of the year in obviously Adrian Dodoro and Stephen Silvani, who, when he had that navy blue cap on, came really hard for Dylan Shield. They flew him up to Noosa on the private jet the whole bit before he chose Essendon. So perhaps Sauce circling back for one that he missed out on several years ago.
Massimo D'Ambrosio has that's requested a trade to Hawthorn.
He has indeed. Now the Hawks, so they've missed out on Asava Ratugolea, Ben McKay, Liam Henry. They have thus far been the bridesmaid in a lot of these situations, a lot of these pursuits, of course, as they rebuild under Sam Mitchell. But Cal Toomey reporting this earlier. Fringe Essendon player Massimo D'Ambrosio requesting a trade to the Hawks. He's out of contract, 16 games across the last 2 seasons, 8 in each. They had offered him a contract, I think, Essendon a moderate one, though, maybe just a 12-monther for next season. But I would assume the Hawks have offered something more substantial than that, maybe a 2 or 3 year deal on the table. He's 20 years of age, and so that's been enough to turn his head, Gerard, and he's requested a trade formally to the Hawks.
Okay, now I've got homework here. Hang on, I've got to find this text again. It's just disappeared from my screen. 043398. There's so many texts around the failed multi that it's actually hard to find the one that I'm looking for. It's the suspicion that there's something going on at Melbourne.
Oh, yeah.
We've had emails, we've had texts. So this is the piece of homework for you to go and see if you can build what is happening at Melbourne. Now,
I did see this. You forwarded this on to me, and I've got to chase it up. It starts with, please don't use my real name, which is encouraging as we stated our terms of engagement at the start of this trade bell season, Gerard. But the general suspicion is, with Grundy leaving, with Harms almost certainly on the way out as well, Hibbard retired, James Jordan moving on, the list goes on and on, without a lot of smoke around who might be coming in. So the question is, are Melbourne up to something? They've got the capital to do it. They've got the funds to do it. We know Tim Lamb is a lateral thinker, the list manager down there, and loves a big play. So the general theory, as per this emailer to you, Gerard, was there's been enough smoke and there's something going on behind the scenes. There's an insider mentioned as well, and apparently it's quote-unquote so earth-shattering that it will stun the competition, Gerard. So all the right words and all the right phrases, we've just got to follow up on it.
And I found it. Dirk had text through. Good morning, Gerard. Can you please ask Sam Edmund what is happening at Melbourne? I'm hearing there is something big cooking behind the scenes. All right, that's your homework. Good man.
I'm on it.